She was fired for bringing her son to work, until her new boss walked in and said, "I was that kid." The entire office fell silent as the HR manager's cold voice sliced through the air like a blade. "You know the rules, Mia. No children allowed in the workplace. You're fired, effective immediately." Mia's fingers tightened around her 9-year-old son's hand, tears stinging behind her eyes. She had pleaded, explained, promised, but none of it mattered. Now, as her son's wide, frightened eyes stared up at her, she had no choice but to leave. What she didn't realize was that the real storm was only just beginning. Outside the building, a black luxury car pulled up. From it stepped a man whose sharp gaze followed Mia's retreating figure. He had been that child once, dragged into an office where he wasn't wanted, and he had never forgotten how it felt. Mia Carter was a single mother, a determined, hard-working woman who had spent years climbing the corporate ladder, only to have it ripped away the moment life got complicated. Her son Noah was her whole world. But when the babysitter canceled at the last minute and her boss refused to understand, Mia did the only thing she could. She brought Noah to work, hiding him quietly in a back cubicle with a tablet and some snacks. It worked, until it didn't. Now, jobless and with rent due in 2 weeks, Mia swallowed her pride and led Noah out of the building, her dignity in pieces. Just as they reached the sidewalk, a deep voice called out behind her. "Wait!" Mia froze and turned. A tall man in a perfectly tailored suit stood there, his expression unreadable. The employees behind him shifted uneasily. "You're Mia Carter?" he asked. She nodded, bracing herself for another blow. Instead, he looked at Noah, then back at her. "I'm Daniel Reeves, the new CEO." Her stomach dropped. Of course, the corporate takeover everyone had been talking about. And here she was, already fired in front of him. But then he said the last thing she ever expected. "I was that kid once." Daniel didn't reinstate her right away. Instead, he asked to speak with her privately. Inside his office, he told her a story she never saw coming. 30 years ago, my mother brought me to work because she had no choice. She was fired on the spot. We lost everything. His jaw clenched. I promised myself that if I ever had the power to change that kind of injustice, I would. Mia's heart pounded. Was this a second chance, or just another cruelty disguised as kindness? The HR manager protested. The board will never approve exceptions. Policies are policies. Daniel's eyes darkened. Then we changed the policies. The following week, Mia wasn't just rehired, she was promoted. And Daniel announced a groundbreaking company initiative, on-site childcare for all employees, but not everyone celebrated. The old guard whispered about favoritism. Then, an anonymous complaint accused Mia of manipulating Daniel for personal gain. The board demanded an investigation. Mia's future once again hung by a thread. The hearing was merciless. She sat before a panel of stone-faced executives as they dissected her life, her decisions, and even her motherhood, as if being a parent were a professional flaw. Daniel defended her, but even his power had limits. If this doesn't pass, he told her softly afterward, I'll make sure you're taken care of. But I might not be able to stop them. For the first time, Mia wondered if she'd been foolish to hope. How many parents, she thought bitterly, have sat in this very chair? How many good employees have been punished for simply loving their kids? You tell us, have you ever had to choose between your job and your child? Pause for a second and share your story in the comments. Let's see how many of us have faced this impossible choice. The final decision came down to one man, the company's oldest board member, a strict traditionalist. Mia stood before them, Noah waiting outside. The old man sighed. I voted against this at first, he admitted, but my daughter just had a baby. She's terrified of this very thing. He looked at Mia. Times change. We have to change too. The policy passed. A year later, the company's satisfaction scores were higher than ever. Noah had his own little desk in the new childcare center, proudly doing his homework. And Mia, she sat across from Daniel during a meeting, presenting her latest project. He smirked. Turns out the best decision I ever made was firing you. She laughed. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. Outside, the sunlight poured through the windows onto a future that finally felt bright with promise. This story is for every parent who's ever been made to feel guilty for loving both their child and their career. Drop a like if you believe workplaces can and should undo better. Let's make this go viral. Maybe the right person will see it and change someone's life.